Good morning and welcome back to Tea Time in the Life of an LDA. I am Alberto Ortega with Legal Success, and we have Mandy Flores with, I will get it right, Docs We Prep.
Sweet prep.
Anyway,
Yes.
welcome back for our next episode. We hope you enjoyed our first one. This will be many coming forward. Today, we're going to go ahead and discuss something that really is beneficial for you. We want you to understand why hiring an LDA is a benefit for you versus trying to maneuver this legal journey on your own. So, and then we'll give you a little bit of a story on where we've seen people trying to do this on their own versus hiring us after the fact and what we had to do to, get that going. Welcome, Mandy. Welcome, Mandy.
Thank you for having me again this morning.
Of course.
It's always a pleasure to do tea time with you and to provide information and knowledge to people that probably look for it. So always a plus. So so basically hiring an LDA. So LDA, legal document preparer, legal document assistant, the benefits, right? There's a lot of benefits that come with hiring us. One of them is efficiency. You go to the courthouse, you're there for a couple hours, you get rejected at the clerk's window, and then they tell you have to fix your documents or you're missing something. So when you hire a LDA, you are hiring us to make things efficient for you. You basically explain what you want done. You direct us what forms you want us to file. And then we start getting to work for you. And then we take them to the courthouse. We type them. We file them for you. And you receive the file documents in the mail or online via email, whatever the customer's preference is. And so people really like that because they don't have to worry about it. They don't have to take time off of work. And they really like that efficiency. So that's a big reason of what I hear from my customers when they want to hire an LDA is that they just don't have time. They have work and they just want to move on with it and get it done. One and done.
Yes. That's always the great thing. One and done. So tell me in the thing. So we know that, we are registered, we are bonded, they are safe hiring us. They ain't got to worry about us disappearing because we're not going to disappear.
Yeah.
There's also resources out there that we can get that maybe the average person can't get just because of the fact that we have a network of LDAs. And then we also have CALDA as our association who makes sure that we stay up to date and they go in and fight for us. More recently, I've seen that more happen recently with CALDA going in and fighting for us on one of the situations that I was dealing with, actually, with the courthouse. So that's a good thing. As an LDA, we do have that little bit of backup. Sometimes the courts have their own rules and regulations, and we have certain protocol that we follow based on the code that we follow. And so we are registered and bonded. However, if you're also with an organization, you do have that extra support system. Like we had somebody that went in and fought for us for what was right, and the courts were telling us was wrong. Right. So in that sense, they are protected because we are registered and bonded, and most of us carry another type of insurance as well. So we are protecting the public. But have you seen it? What is the difference when somebody tries to do this on their own and coming to you to fix what they tried to do on their own?
So many times it's always the same scenario, different person. They always have a big pile of paperwork with them. It's all disarrayed. They're very frustrated. They say that they've gone already a handful of times up and back with the intention of saving money because they don't want to spend the money. Many of my customers are professionals as well. They're police officers, they're attorneys, they're correctional officers, they can be doctors. But they don't want to spend the money on an attorney, and they don't want to spend the money on anyone, with this economy. But when they do decide to buckle down and say, okay, I do need some help, they'll come in and they'll hire an LDA and they'll express their frustration that they got rejected at the window. They pulled a ticket at the courthouse. They waited an hour, maybe sometimes two, just to be called, just to be told that they don't have their documents correct. And so then they show me their documents, and many times I'll look at their documents and they'll miss checking certain boxes. And of course, I can't give legal advice. So I just explained to them, if you direct me to type and file these documents, this is what my flat fee would be. And is this something you would like for me to do for you? And then they say, yes, I do. I want you to do these for me. And then I start typing them. They'll pay me for them. And then I will go and file them at the courthouse. And so many times they're emotional as well. They're emotional because the other party is calling them and texting them, and, they're going through their conflicted issues, and it's just a really stressful situation for them because they're not really thinking clearly. I see that they're not really thinking clearly. And even on one particular time, there was a lady that came in. She said she paid a guy that he said that he was a paralegal. And basically, once she paid him to do the documents, he never called her back. And so then she went to his office. His office was empty. She tried to call him again, tried to leave him text messages, emails. 2 weeks went by and nothing. So finally she reached out and found me. And I was really sad. He charged her $1,200 just to open a divorce case, which was just the summons and the petition form that she needed done. And $1,200 just for those 2 forms was a lot. And so when she told me that, I knew she was scammed. And I explained to her the difference between a paralegal and a document preparer, that we're registered and bonded so we can be tracked down. We have an obligation to them once they pay us. And we can't just go take a vacation, for example, right? And it's crazy because these people are already vulnerable. And these paralegals should only be working under the direct supervision of an attorney, and they're scamming people and then disappearing. Like, it's so sad because they've already got enough problems. So the best route to go, if you don't want to hire an attorney and you don't want to do this yourself, is hire an actual registered and bonded document preparer. You can even, upon request, ask for their registration card, and we have to carry it in our wallets, just like a driver's license, and we have to show the customer upon request, just as proof, to reassure them. But many times customers, believe me, they never have once asked me in the 10 years that I've been a document preparer. So I think that many times, it's always the same scenario. They're disarrayed, they're frustrated, they're vulnerable, they're emotional. They don't know what documents they need when they've filled them out before. They're missing boxes that they should have checked. Even when they create their stories, they have the idea, but they don't spell correctly. Their story is all over the place, run-on sentences. I can understand why the courts and the judges get a little frustrated.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah. So let's go back. Let's mark what the pros of having an LDA is, right? One, you're going to save time, right? Because we are educated in the document preparation system, how the courts like things. Even though every county is a little bit different, you get to know the different ways and the way the clerks like things and the way the judges like things, right? So we know the process, right. We understand it without giving legal advice, right? A lot of people, we went to school to learn this legal jargon, let's say, right? Legal jargon. It is not easy for the average person to pick up and say, no, what's the difference between a physical custody and a sole custody? I mean, physical custody and legal custody, right? So those are things that we're able to give them factual printed information to help them understand what it is, right?
Yeah, published by an attorney, right?
Yeah, published by an attorney. Yeah, as the association with Calder, we get those. So those have all been checked. We don't have to do that work. So that's a good thing. They get the guidance and support that maybe a family or friend can't give them because it's a different realm for them, right? They are going through a lot of emotional stuff at this point. And sometimes they just need that outside person to take a good look at what they're doing, because family and friends are going to be like, you do, you take. But the state of California is very clear on how they want things done when it comes to, especially in divorces and in custody, right? They end up feeling less stress with us because they are basically workbook. I call them workbook. They're intakes where it's plain English. Who's the person, right? What's your spouse's name? What are your children's names in plain English? And then we take that and transfer that into court documentation. right? So
Right.
that relieves their stress, because I've had many people pick up the packet and then just put it on the table because they don't want to look at it no more. It's insane. And it's cost effective. Yes, they do pay us for doing the work for them, but sometimes if it takes them 3 trips to a courthouse to get it done right, they've taken 3 days off of work, right? Our average customers are working mother, fathers, like you said, police officers, where they can't just take a day off to go spend the day at a courthouse. And we all know that when you go to the courthouse, there's no guarantee what time you're going to get out of there, right? So they would have to take the whole day off, right?
Exactly.
Usually with an LDA overseeing your case, it moves a little bit faster because we have it on our calendar what day things should be filed. What is a deadline? A lot of times we get so busy in regular life that we forget, oh my God, he didn't answer in 30 days. I should have filed that default. So as an LDA, we keep track of that. We reach back out. Did you get an answer? Did you get a response? Did you get through? So where do we go at this next point?
Yeah,
so
and that's something that we do as a courtesy, right? Because our only job really is just to type and file at the customer's direction. But, just because I try to be that polite, I try to be a woman for others with regards to being helpful with people, just kind of showing them the information that we previously went over. Because one thing that I do notice with people is that we'll go over the information and then they just don't remember what the information was. And so, it helps streamline their stuff. They are prompted, like, okay, are you ready for your next step? They'll usually tell me, oh, thank you for reminding me. This is exactly what I remember us talking about. And yes, I'm directing you to type this set of documents that now I need. It's just been so busy. I've been meaning to call you all week long. Thank you for calling so much. And they're just so appreciative of that. And so, it's saving time, it's saving money, it's saving your stress, and you get to get things done a lot quicker for an affordable price. I had a customer tell me that she had a meeting with an attorney, and that attorney quoted her a $5,000 retainer fee and $500 an hour just to do her custody documents. And so she felt really stressed out, thinking, what was she going to do? And it wasn't until she got online and just did a little bit of research, and then she found out that there were document preparers on Google. And she was so happy when she found me, just like, they probably are with you. You hear it all the time. I'm so glad that you're here and helping. I hear it all the time, every day.
Yes, that's so true. And I think the way I see it is, yes, you can do your research and understand it, but it's like, if you are sick, right, and everybody runs to Google to research it, right? What are my symptoms, whatever. But we're like that next step, like, wouldn't it be better for them to go to a physician's assistant and get diagnosed with the correct thing than letting their mind run crazy with whatever is on Google? And also, you need to be careful, because the internet is just average people posting, and some of the information is not correct. Or if you're not able to identify, is this specifically for California? I've had people come to me with stuff that is from a whole nother state. And I'm like
Alabama or.
Yeah. And it literally says it on the bottom of the form, like, this is whatever. And I'm like, like an MSA. Somebody brought me one and I was like, where did you get this MSA? Right? Because they did their own MSA. Oh, I found it online. So I go and I'm looking at the bottom and I'm like, can you please reread your MSA and then read the bottom? It was from a whole nother state.
Which, real quick, side note, MSA stands for Marital Settlement Agreement.
There you go. I'm so sorry. I'm used to just, you know what? I've had people say that. Hey, I was like, oh, are you guys going to do an MSA? They're like, what is MSA? Marital Settlement Agreement. You are so right. So, so that is the pros of hiring an LDA. Now, of course, it's going to be less expensive for you to do it on your own, but in the long run, is it going to be more expensive if you get those continual rejections? Do you have the time to keep going back to that courthouse, right? That is what we do. We deal with courts. We deal with the clerks. We make sure things get filed timely on the matter. And then we also can arrange for service if you don't have anybody to serve. So those are the pros of working with an LDA and the pros of not being able to, do this on your own. So in our closing message, I would say, well, let me explain. I do have one story that I'll go ahead and share with you. So somebody called me recently, had me take a look at their file. They actually hired another document preparation company. And she said that her spouse had told her, oh, don't I have 90 days to respond to the divorce? And I said, okay, well, where did he get the information? She goes, well, I don't know. Like, what are we supposed to do next? And I was like, well, who did you hire, first of all? It was another LDA company. And I said, this is what I want you to do. So the state of California gives people in a divorce 30 days to respond, right? What that means is 30 days from the person was handed the documents or they signed the acknowledgement, 30 days from that date to see where this case is going to go. Are we going to go to trial or are we going to go the default process, right? These are processes that can go either direction. So I asked her, have you received a response at all? Well, he told her basically he had not filed a response and that he goes, I think I have 90 days. So she said, what does he have 90 days? And I said, well, he has as much time as he wants to file up until the next step is done, right? At that point. And I said, I can't tell you what to do. And it was a family friend. I said, I can't tell you what to do. I can't give you legal advice, but I do want you to go back to your LDA company. And I want you to tell them to take a look at your case and find out if there was a response filed, and then ask them to know what you have to do to move your divorce forward, right? So in my sense is if she didn't call me and say, like, where are we at in this process? Most people do not know what to do at that point, right? So it can sit for 6 months to a year. And I've seen this happen many times. I've also seen it where people try to do this on their own and they never get the judgment done.
Right. And, you know,
20 years later, still married.
Right. And, you know, there's a lot of critics out there in the world. We can all acknowledge that, right? And there's a lot of people that are very specific with how they say things or what they want to do. And they can say, well, you shouldn't tell the customer what to do and this and that. You know, many times when people ask me, what should I do? Do I respond to this? I have 90 days. I just tell them I can't answer those types of questions. I'm simply here to type and file documents at your direction. Mm-hmm. And, you know, hope that they make that right decision on what they want me to do, you know, because I've had people go online. I've seen people communicate to others, oh, you can't do that. And only an attorney can do this. And only an attorney should be doing that. And I totally understand it. I follow the rules of ethics and standards and professionalism with the CALDA Association and all of that. But just to clarify that, because sometimes you'll have critics that will watch our videos and could make those points. And so just to clarify that, we get it. We understand that we shouldn't tell the customer what to do.
Right. But anyway, we can pull our divorce roadmaps and we can send that to them and let them see the timeline, because the timeline is actually on the California website that tells them, you know, what their next step is and what they're to do. So you are correct about that. Right. So what I did on this specific person, because they didn't hire me to do it, so I sent them back to that company and said, call them and ask them, because what happens is they get stuck in that shuffle, and it is ultimately their responsibility, right? I personally scheduled on my calendar, reach back out to them and say, hey, where are we at this process and where do you want to go from here, right? And I give them the roadmap that says, this is where we're at. What do you want to do at this point, right? And of course, if they get a response, they let me know right away. So then at that point, we're moving forward. So I sent them back to that company and said, you know, you need to call them back, and you paid them for a service. You need to ask them to move forward or do whatever you need to do, right? Ultimately, this is your guys's files, right? We do what you say. Even if we know it's wrong, we do what you say, unfortunately. So we'll wrap up with a closing message for you guys, right? So here's the bottom line. Doing it alone gives you control, but having an LDA gives you clarity, accuracy, and peace of mind. However we choose to handle your case. So we doc prep is right. Did I get it right this time? Yes, right. Oh, docs we prep. Docs we prep. I just want you to be a we. I don't know. So docs we prep and Legal Success are here to support you in any legal maneuver If we cannot support you, we do know other LDAs that we have no problem sending you to. We also do know attorneys that if we need to send you to. So if you need any help in preparing these court documents, definitely give us a call. We will have our information out there. And this will wrap Tea Time with your Tea Time in the life of LDAs. We'll say LDAs now.
Yes.
And going forward, we would love to hear what you guys have to say. Is there something that is boggling your mind? Are you getting ready to enter into a divorce and you're kind of stuck and don't know? Now, again, we cannot give you legal advice. However, we can discuss a topic and help you through the system as much as we can. So if there's a simple question that you would like for one of us to answer, or for it to be one of our tea times, definitely send those in. You can email them directly to legalsuccess1@yahoo.com. You can follow me on any of my social medias, which is, we've got TikTok, we've got Instagram, we've got Threads, and we've definitely got Facebook. Follow us, check us out, see how we're making a difference in the journey of the legal industry when it comes to self-representatives. And Mandy, let them know how they can find you and how they can email you messages of what they would like us to discuss in our next segment.
Thank you, Berta. So if you have any questions or, want to reach out, feel free. My website is www.docsweprep.com. My email is Mandy, MANDY, @docsweprep.com. And I'm located here in the Sacramento area. My telephone number here is 916-517-8146. That's my office number. We're open Monday through Friday from 8:30 to 5. And that does exclude the court holidays, of course. And so we always look forward to hearing from everybody else as well. Mm-hmm.
Of course. So we want to say happy Thanksgiving to all the people that are celebrating. Remember, enjoy that family time, good times, memories, and be grateful for what you do have in life and not what you don't. So this is Alberto Ortega and Mandy Flores signing off for the day, and we will see you next week. Have a beautiful holiday, you guys.
Bye.